Hello YouTube and fellow Star Wars collectors. On this episode of Toys Are the Way, we will be taking a look at another character from the most recent wave of vintage collection figures, Director Krennic from Rogue One, a long overdue character and villain that was absolutely needed for the vintage collection. Hopefully one day soon we can see the rest of the Rogue One crew completed, Bodhi Rook and Baze Malbus, but for now I am very happy to finally see this character make their way into the line. And don't forget, if you're new to the channel or a fan of Star Wars collecting, be sure to smash a like on this video, remember to subscribe, and make sure to ring that bell to stay notified. But with all that being said, let's take a closer look at this long overdue figure. And first things first, let's take a look at our vintage style packaging. Here we have Director Orson Krennic on a lovely Rogue One card back with a nice image of the character on the communications tower on Scarif as he confronts Jyn Erso. Looking pretty good there, and I just absolutely like this rich cerulean blue name pill color that they chose. I think it ties in very nicely with the Kenner logo down below and kind of captures a little bit of the blue in his rank badge, and additionally just adds some nice color contrast for this character to pop off in that bubble. So all in all, a really nice addition to anyone and everyone's carded collection. And on the back, he is VC 302 in the line, and there's a small description about Director Orson Krennic, followed with the Vintage Collection logo placed down below. So it is quite refreshing to finally have this character added to the Vintage Collection, and I'm really looking forward to adding this one to my Imperial carded display. And taking a look at Director Krennic out of the packaging, I will say that they did an exceptional job with his portrait. I think it's probably the most captivating part of this figure. You know, they did a really good job getting that likeness on there, and yeah, I think that's pretty accurate to the character and actor. So really good stuff. I will say that, you know, they probably should have added a couple more highlights to his hair to kind of just show his appropriate age and match that better. The main thing I already just do not like, and I knew I wouldn't like, is this soft plastic cape. I think it's kind of atrocious in my opinion. And here you can see just a simple pose, like, you know, raising his arm is already causing this thing to kind of like push off and like the collar just not sit too well on there, which is, you know, you're going to have this fully articulated, wonderful character and just hinder him with this giant plastic piece. It just doesn't make sense to me. I understand that, you know, Krennic has a very specific, you know, collar, and, you know, it would have been a little challenging to achieve in soft goods form, but I really wish they would have done something differently. So I'm gonna have to get rid of this because it just bothers me. And my idea is actually, I'm probably gonna try and customize one where I slice it along this seam here and just kind of keep the collar itself, and then replace it with a soft goods faux leather material, maybe, if I can find an appropriate one. And this is kind of what I'm thinking about using. I'm kind of thinking about using something similar to this. Here we have good old Jar Jar Binks, and here you can see he's got kind of, you know, a soft goods skirt that's, you know, also similar to, you know, a bit of a faux leather. So it's definitely got a lot more movement than the hard plastic and maybe could work better. So that's something I'm thinking about doing, because I just don't like this Krennic. I don't think it worked for me personally. But circling back to the actual figure, he does look rather good. And, you know, if you're just going to have him kind of standing there in this one neutral pose, it will look nice on your shelf, but I like to do a little bit more with my characters. And even if I was to make him do like a little bit of a walking stance, you know, this is kind of just like a little bit in the way, in my opinion. I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. So let's get rid of that, because nobody likes plastic capes. And then, yeah, you know, he's got nice articulation, and you want to be able to engage with your enemy, or just, you know, have Krennic be able to pose effortlessly. And I think that thing kind of hinders that, so unfortunate. But here we have his nice rank badge, code cylinders. They've done some great jobs sculpting, you know, a variety of these for our Imperial officers. And I do really appreciate that they went out of their way to make sure the holster was on the right side, because he is left-handed, and the blaster pistol fits in there rather nicely. So that is also cool that they went out of their way to give us the proper pistol. As they pointed out, you know, Director Krennic is left-handed, but they did not give him a trigger finger for his left hand. It's only, you know, the standard one that we're seeing for all of our Imperial officers on the right hand. So that's a little bit of a shame, but I'm planning to kind of slice that with an X-Acto to give him a trigger finger. That's just a quick fix that I like to do sometimes for some of my figures. If you're gonna do that, just be careful and make sure not to slice it too hard. And here you can see that this is the same figure we've been seeing time and time again, with the new style hips, ball jointed everything, and rocker ankle. So this Imperial officer will be able to do some stuff if you want him to. And then just taking a look at the back of the belt, they've sculpted some more stuff there that makes him unique to other Imperial officers. And yeah, all in all, it's a good addition to the line. I just don't think that the plastic cape was executed well, in my opinion. The all-new from the ground up Imperial Officer sculpt makes another appearance in the Vintage Collection, this time with the release of Director Krennic from Rogue One. While it is wonderful to finally get one step closer towards completing the mains on our Rogue One shelves, it has to be said that we were on the verge of greatness. We were so close. The soft plastic cape is not practical in my opinion, and really takes away from the title action figure, as it does not conform well to the body and raises oddly when Krennic's arms are up. Also, when the figure crouches down even slightly, the bottom of the cape hits the ground, again causing the neck and shoulder area of the cape to rise awkwardly above Krennic's torso. On the other hand, if you have issues posing your figures, this almost hard plastic cape will work against gravity while looking decent in certain poses. Hasbro needs to be careful not to choke on their aspirations, as the inclusion of soft goods would have allowed us to recreate this memorable scene in an aesthetically pleasing manner. Director Krennic has all the modern articulation that would allow this work of art to display wonderfully in a Star Wars collection room, and I think it's a shame to hide such greatness under a plastic rectangle. While some may argue that Krennic was not the most dynamic character on screen, you can't deny that his cape had more motion to it than what's seen on this figure. I hope you've enjoyed this video and taking a look at one of the latest additions to the Vintage Collection, Director Krennic from Rogue One. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really helps and is always greatly appreciated. Thanks everyone, and may the Force be with you.